Okay, so that's staying.
I was sleeping in the living room because I thought it was just a better option.
It is a better option. It's definitely a better option. And in March, okay, we've got the sickness star on top of the 5-star in the south.
Oh.
Okay, just a heads up, honey. Heads up. Okay, does Dad or anybody have a rollaway bed that you could borrow for the month of March?
I don't know. I can get an air mattress. You want me to get an air mattress for the living room?
Either the living room or your office.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And, honey, I tell you that, and then you're going to have to feel it out. I know how much you depend on what I'm telling you, but...
I know. I have to feel everything out.
Yes, you really do. And once you feel it out, then you know how to reach me. But it's a little problematic for you in that room.
Well, I was sleeping in the living room, and it was better. I haven't slept in that room. I've just gone in that room to change.
That's fine. Go there to change.
And I'm not in there at all.
Okay. So long as my concern is you have to get a sound night's sleep. So that's why I'm suggesting if the sofa isn't comfortable enough, then you may have to get, even Craigslist. It's something to do with either a fold-up bed or blow-up bed so that you can survive the energies of both March and September and December. Those are the 3 weakest months for that south location.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah. My concern is we could...
Should I try that blue Buddha in the triangle?
Say that again, Deb. Deb, I think I lost you, honey. Yep, I lost you. If you're listening to me off the air, you're going to give me a call off the air tomorrow or the next day, okay? Because I think there's a little more discussion about that, okay? So I think those of you who are listening, you can hear a little concern in my voice. Some months there's a doubling of energy, and I know Deb enough to know her health has not been strong for a little bit. So then it's, for those of us, when we go through this cycle, if it's not strong, we're going to get hit again. And it makes the year challenging. And I truly speak from the voice of experience because last year I went through all of this to the point where after, several weeks of one situation, I'm like, well, okay, if I'm to leave right now, I'm to leave. And you get to that point. And I'm telling you, I do feng shui. Sick as I was, I moved the bed, I put the metal, I did this. And finally I just said, okay, just be still. Talk to the essence of the disease, get comfortable, and see where it takes you. And where it took me after 6 months was a whole different being emerged, a stronger being, a more illumined being, a calmer being. So there's always a reason why we're kind of taken down, if you will. It's very good. There's nothing bad about it, except the labels and the judgment that we put on it. And then, of course, Western medicine and the pharmaceuticals help put those labels on. So you've got to do the inner work. It's all about the inner work, always. So I want to just go step backward as I was speaking about this gal from yesterday that was on the phone with me and how her head was on a wall, which interestingly was not one of her strong walls. And once again, she had studied with me and kind of should have known better, but she really felt so badly. At the beginning of the conversation, she almost broke down and said, I'm stuck, and I don't know, I've forgotten everything, and I don't know what I'm doing. And I kind of chuckled and said, oh, honey, you have feng shui amnesia. And she did. It's like it all had gone. And as she started to talk about just the angst between her young daughter, and herself. Nobody winning, truly head to head. And that's when I walked energetically into her master bedroom and said, so what wall is your head against? And she mentioned it. And I said, what wall is your daughter against? And she gasped because it was truly head to head. And we use that expression. I'm head to head with you, toe to toe. And it's a butting of the heads. So she doesn't, and this darling new wonderful love that's in her life, she was going to call him immediately saying, we have work to do, and change the bedroom. And it's no small feat, to change a whole bed around. It's a big commitment to your wellness, to your balance. So I'm waiting the call that she's telling me, yep, we did it, and things have lightened up a bit. But there's a part 2 to that story that I found very interesting as well. She's been in this home, I'll say maybe 10 years. It's a sweet house, happy house, pretty house, nothing wrong with this house. Matter of fact, it's brought several good things to her. She started a new career. She did find what I think is the love of her life. And all by herself, she raised 2 kids. I don't think any child in their teenage years is all that easy. So the firstborn, he was easy. Second one, not so. However, now the question goes, and I tell you this so you can look at your life and your decisions. So she's rambling on about everybody's feng shui and where do we need and what do we put, and they're going to now build out the lower level, which would be a considerable outlay of money, big disruption to the house. And something made me ask, do you still love the house? Does the house still love you? Do you belong there? Well, no, I'm not feeling it, but I can't leave. And this resistance splopped out of her mouth that she had to laugh at, because I was having a good laugh going, oh boy, the house doesn't want you. You don't want to be there. And yet you're going to build out? What are we thinking? What are we doing? Now, this is not somebody who's in their 80s that, the thought maybe of moving would be a bit too much. No, she's ready to go. Not only that, boyfriend's job isn't what it should be. She's tired of her job. She's thinking of changing one of the children in the school they're at, and the other child is also at a change point. What's wrong with right now going? Except fear. So, and because the whole fear energy is in the center of the Bagua this year, lots of people are going to be swamped. Your boat is going to be swamped with fear. So, look, you gotta look. You have to laugh at yourself, because that's the only way out of it. Laughter is your medicine. So look at what you're holding on to with resistance. I can't possibly do that. Why can't you possibly do that? There's life in other places. Yes, it takes effort. Yes, it takes gumption and get up and go. It's sure, to me, it beats staying where you are and dying. So we got a free line, 321-806-3159, for any of you who wish to call in. 321-806-3159. I am Elaine Bartlett, and my show is The Purple Portal. And I do hope you have a chance to check out on my website my latest, most delightful book, at least it is to me, and feedback so far, so good. People resonate with it because of its purity and its simplicity. And in its simplicity, it's very insightful. And so that is the Prosperity Portal. And I look around now in my life, and the word portal actually dawned within me after all of my health ups and downs last year. And I thought, we're supposed to step into portals at all times. Actually, we're supposed to become the portal, a portal of wisdom, a portal of tranquility and harmony and wholeness. So you become the portal, and I'm telling you what, doorways open up left and right. Only catch, you're going to have to give up the fear and your unrest. You're going to have to do it. Well, you don't have to do anything, but it's how you go through the portal, okay? All right, so I had that interesting time with that gal and seeing that she was going to build out her basement, and remains to be seen whether she actually does. Then I had another fascinating, well, since you're not calling in now, you have to hear all my recent war stories. So if you don't want to hear my war stories, call in to find out fame, success, and illumination. The best way for you to find illumination is recognize you never lost it in the first place. You know, I do have sometimes a very brutal sense of humor. Sometimes I'll come across somebody who's very, very intent on telling me they found Jesus. And no disrespect here, but I never knew he was lost. He'd be the last to tell you he was lost from any of my conversations with that great world-class teacher. Matter of fact, he would tell you there's nothing to find. There's only to go deeper into yourself and get clearer on who you are. He knew that, and because of that, he lived it. And therefore, change happened. And you live it, change happens. It's that simple. And it's nothing that you had to run after. There's no seeking. There's just no seeking anymore. The enlightenment that you're seeking, the illumination that you're seeking, you are the shining one. And I know it's like, oh, get off it, Elaine. But it's true. It's who you are, the shining one. All right. So here's the other thing that happened, and this probably will cause a little stir in some of you. A gentleman called me last week, and he had been referred by his girlfriend. And it was very fascinating to me because he started the conversation with, hello, I'm so-and-so. My girlfriend referred me. And I'm the one that you told her to put on the shelf for 5 years. Well, and this was please apparently in 2009 or 10. So I had a good chuckle and said, so how'd you make out on that shelf? How did that work for you? And have you taken yourself off the shelf yet? With just that little wonderment, oh, is he downstairs? Where is he? And how did the shelf work out? Well, this young man was particularly authentic and sincere, which just is, I so embrace that sincerity and that authenticity. There's not a lot of it. So he kind of saw the fact that I thought it was now rather humorous. He said, well, we both needed that 5 years. We both had to grow up. And he said, and I was an alcoholic, and he used the word cannabis. I used cannabis frequently, which means he was a pothead. And so he gave it all up. And now they're engaged to be married. And now there's 2 strong, healthy individuals. And how great is that? Now, he was probably, the gal was probably about 24 or 5 when I must have said this to her, maybe even earlier. That's the last thing you want to hear about a love of your life when you're in your 20s. Put him on the shelf for 5 years. So it's interesting that all these years later, she was strong enough and loving enough to be able to look at her life and say, you might want to call her. Like the 2 of them passed a huge, what is called an initiation. That's what it is. You pass these thresholds of light, and you become more of the light you are. But he also told me something else, and this I'll put out there. Again, some of you are not